Let me begin by sharing a very fond memory with you about Missoula. I was here, I expect, right in this auditorium, a number of years ago, because my daughter Karina thought that Vermont was not rural enough. So she wanted to go to a real rural state, and she decided to come here to the University of Montana. And while she was here, she met a boyfriend named Blake. They got married. And today I am the grandfather of two beautiful kids, Cole and Tessie. So thank you, University of Montana, for bringing them together. And let me thank all of the speakers who have preceded me. A special thanks to Sarah Nelson, one of the great trade union leaders in America. And a very, very special thanks to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is not only a great congresswoman from New York, but has been an inspiration to millions of young people throughout the country. And I want to say a word about Alexandria, which has less to do with her than to do with you. And that is that I think 6 years ago or so, Alexandria was a waitress in New York City. That's what she did. She was a waitress. And she looked around her in a community which has very serious problems, and she said, you know what, we can do better. And she decided, with no money, with no organization, but with just a spirit to fight for justice, she organized and she took on one of the most powerful people in the U.S. Congress, and she defeated him. Now, why I say this is not just about Alexandria, it is about you, because I suspect that in this room of 7,000 or 8,000 people and a couple of thousand people outside who couldn't get in, we have a lot of Alexandrias and Josephs and Harrys and Marys. And what we are asking you today is to understand that coming to this rally is just the first step in moving forward to transforming this country. Donald Trump has taken us into an unprecedented moment in modern American history, and we have got to respond in an unprecedented way. And that means you can't look around and say, well, Alexandria's going to do it, Bernie's going to do it, somebody else is going to do it. Ain't going to happen. You are going to have to do it. Now, brothers and sisters, Alexandria and I have been all over the country, and we've seen record-breaking turnouts. Unbelievable. Including right here in Missoula. And I believe that people, and it's not just Democrats, and it's not just independents, you got Republicans coming out as well. Because they are saying loudly and clearly, we allow the United States of America to become an oligarchy. In America today, one person, I want you to hear this clearly, one person, you may have heard of him, his name is Elon Musk. Mr. Musk himself owns more wealth than the bottom 56% of American households. One person owns more wealth than 56% of American households. That is not what this country is supposed to be about. But it is not just oligarchy. The American people, conservative, progressive, moderate, are standing up loud and clear and telling Trump, you will not create an authoritarian society. We're a democracy. Together, brothers and sisters, and it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and give you some fancy rhetoric. Taking on oligarchy is enormously difficult. These guys own the economy. We now have more concentration of ownership than we've ever had in the history of this country. They own most of the media. They own the United States Congress and the White House. They got enormous amounts of wealth and power, but you know what we got? We got the people. And the last that I have heard is that 99% is a hell of a bigger number than 1%. So when we stand together and overcome what Trump and his friends try to do, and that is to divide us up by the color of our skin or where we were born, whether we're born in the United States or someplace else, or our religion, or our sexual orientation, whatever it may be, that is what demagogues always do. They always find some minority and they say to the whole country, you got all kinds of problems, that's who it is. It's the immigrants, it's transgender people, it's gay people. That's how they win, they divide us up. But when we stand together, black and white and gay and straight, there is nothing that can stop us. And right now, in the United States Congress, they are working along with Trump on what is called a reconciliation bill. See, it is not good enough for them that Musk owns more wealth than the bottom 56% of households. Not good enough for them that the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 90%. Not good enough. Not good enough that CEOs of large corporations now make 300 times what their workers make. Not good enough. So now they're working on legislation that would provide $1.1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. And they do that by cutting Medicaid by $880 billion. They do that by cutting nutrition programs for hungry children. They do that by cutting education and other programs that working families desperately need. Now, you have a congressman here, his name is Ryan Zinke. Now, I come from Vermont, traveled a long distance to get here. Alexandria comes from New York, traveled a long distance. Mr. Zinke does not have to travel a long distance to meet with you. So I would suggest that you ask him to sit down, have a meeting with a few thousand people, and ask him one simple question. Mr. Zinke, are you going to vote to cut Medicaid and education and nutrition to give massive tax breaks to billionaires who don't need it? So, Mr. Zinke, have the courtesy to do what we do in a democracy. Sit down and have a little chat with your constituents. And right now, it's not only tax breaks for the rich and cuts to Medicaid. Unbelievably, you have Mr. Musk, wealthiest guy on earth, running all over Washington, D.C. He is cutting the staff at the Social Security Administration big time. And here is the truth. The truth is that before Trump came in, the Social Security Administration was understaffed. And I, as a senator, and I am sure that every member of Congress and senator gets the same calls. We have calls from constituents. We're trying to get a hold of Social Security to talk about an issue that we have. Can't do it. You don't cut thousands and thousands of workers from the Social Security Administration when they are already understaffed. And let me tell you exactly what that means. People who are old and with disabilities die when they can't get the benefits they are entitled to. That's a fact. They have done it in the past, and you cut the Social Security Administration, you're going to see thousands of people dying who should not be dying. That is outrageous. But it is not just Social Security they're going after. You know, the heroes and heroines of this country are the men and women who have put their lives on the line to defend us, our veterans. We got any veterans here today? Any veterans here today? Thank you. And at a time when the VA, Veterans Administration, is understaffed, we don't have enough doctors or nurses, mental health counselors at the VA. Musk and his friends have the brilliant idea of firing 83,000 employees at the VA. And that will mean lower quality health care for our veterans and delays in them getting the benefits that they deserve. So what our message to Musk and Trump are: we are not going to allow you to destroy the Veterans Administration or Social Security. Now, when we talk about the kinds of changes we need in America, it's important to understand that the oligarchs do not only have enormous economic power, they do, but they also have incredible and unprecedented political power. During the last election, Elon Musk himself spent $270 million in order to get Trump elected. And his reward for that $270 million was to be made the most important person in the United States government. But it is not only Musk and Republicans who put huge amounts of money to elect right-wing candidates and to defeat those who stand up for the working class. It is Democratic billionaires as well. There is a reason why over the years the Democratic Party has not been as strong as it should be in standing up for the working class. And that is the power of big money in the Democratic Party. So I believe honestly that I speak for conservatives, moderates, and progressives, for the overwhelming majority of the American people who understand that there is something fundamentally wrong in our campaign finance system when billionaires can buy elections. And that is why together we've got to get rid of this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. And why we have to move to public funding of elections. You know, I may be a radical from Vermont, and maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I believe that democracy is one person, one vote, not billionaires buying elections. But it's not just oligarchy and the power of the rich that we are fighting. Right now, we are taking on a president who undermines our Constitution every day, who threatens our freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. We're taking on a president whose agents are riding around in unmarked cars, grabbing people off of the streets, putting them in vans, and taking them to detention centers in this country and abroad. And I want you to picture it. Some of you may have seen some of those videos. Swarm of Asians come around, surround some woman in Massachusetts, throw her into a car. That is what takes place in dictatorships, not democracies. And as some of you know, by a 9-0 vote, the United States Supreme Court told Trump to bring back that gentleman from El Salvador. And I think we can all be in agreement. And again, this is not a progressive issue. It's actually more a conservative issue. Our conservative friends say we support the Constitution. Well, if you support the Constitution, you don't throw people into detention centers in El Salvador. Every day, Trump is trying to take more and more power away from the Congress. He is, in an unprecedented way, taking on the judiciary. What America is supposed to be about is you have a judicial system, and sometimes they rule for you, sometimes they rule against you. And I got to tell you, I am no great fan of the Roberts Supreme Court. They gave us this terrible decision on Roe v. Wade, on Citizens United, and other bad decisions. But we live in a rule of law. Donald Trump, obey the Supreme Court of the United States. But he is not just trying to usurp power from the Congress and the judiciary. Apparently, Mr. Trump is unfamiliar with the First Amendment to the Constitution, freedom of speech. And in recent months, the President of the United States has sued ABC, CBS, Meta, the Des Moines Register. His FCC is now investigating NPR and PBS. And the other day he said CBS should lose its license. And what terrible crime did CBS commit? They criticized policies of the President of the United States. How terrible for the President to be criticized. So, Mr. President, you're living in a democracy whether you like it or not. And part of living in a democracy is to accept criticism. And if you can't take criticism, get out of the political process. You know, it's really rather amazing suing media who write stories that you don't like. This is a guy who all of you know over the years has been vulgar in his attacks against his opponents. He can dish it out, make terrible comments about anybody and everybody. CBS writes a story that's critical of him. Oh my God, they got to lose their license. But it's not only the media, unbelievably. He is going after major law firms who have represented clients opposed to his policies. And I say to those cowardly law firms, these are multi-billion-dollar law firms who make huge sums of money every year by doing business in Washington, representing corporate interests. The function of a law firm is to protect the rule of law, not cave in to authoritarianism. And he's going after universities. These so-called conservatives who believe in local control now want to tell universities and schools what they can and cannot do. And I want to thank Harvard University for standing up to Trump, and I hope every university in this country does the same. The function of a university, and it is an enormously important effort, is the pursuit of truth, no matter where that truth takes you. That's what it is. Vigorous debate on the University of Montana and every other university. The function of a university is not to collapse in the face of authoritarianism. So universities, stand tall. But it is not just domestic policies of the Trump administration that should concern us. For the first time, embarrassingly, for the first time in the 250-year proud history of the United States, we have a president who is aligning us with a dictatorship in Russia. No, Mr. President, Ukraine did not start that terrible war. Russia did. And let me tell you something else. We cannot continue to fund under Biden or Trump this horrendous Netanyahu war machine. Israel, like the United States and every other country, has the right to defend itself against terrorism. But Israel does not have the right to wage a barbaric war against the people of Gaza, kill over 50,000, wound 110,000, and destroy the entire infrastructure of Gaza. And let me tell you something that is even worse and almost unimaginable. And in the beginning, I almost thought it was a stupid joke, bad joke. And that is, right now, Trump is talking about forcibly expelling the suffering people of Gaza and creating a Riviera for the billionaire class in Gaza. The American people will not ever allow that to happen. Our job right now in this pivotal moment in American history is to take on Trump every single day. But it is to do more than that. It is to understand that in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we can do a hell of a lot better than having an oligarchy. While the richest people in America are becoming much richer, 800,000 Americans are sleeping out on the street. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any nation on earth, and 22% of our seniors are trying to survive on $15,000 a year or less. Brothers and sisters, the media doesn't talk about it much, and you don't hear much about it in Congress. 60% of our people in America today are living paycheck to paycheck. You all know what paycheck to paycheck life is about? I grew up in a family that lived paycheck to paycheck. I know a little bit about what that is like. And what it means is that every day, moms get up and say, how can I afford to provide decent quality food for my kids? What happens if my dad becomes ill? How can I afford to buy the prescription drugs that he needs? What happens if my landlord raises my rent and I can't afford to pay it? What happens if my car breaks down and the mechanic says I got a $1,000 bill? I don't have $1,000. How am I going to get to work? What happens if I can't get to work? I'm going to lose my job. I lose my job. How do I feed my family? Millions and millions of working class people, low income people, are living under incredible stress. And you know what the impact of that stress is? They are dying in significantly younger ages than they should. Do you all know that? In America today, our life expectancy is 4 years lower than other wealthy countries. But if you are working class in America, you're going to die 7 years shorter than the rich. In the richest country in the history of the world, it is not too much to ask that all of our people have the right to a decent life and decent life expectancy. You know, back in 1944, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, one of the great presidents in American history, he gave a State of the Union speech, which didn't get a lot of attention because it was in the middle of World War II. But what he said in so many words, he said, you know, in America we have this Constitution, it's great. Freedom of speech, you have the right to vote, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. But he said, you know what we don't fully appreciate? We don't appreciate that economic rights are human rights. See, what the system does, we are taking on a system of enormous power. And one of the things they are trying to do is to say, you have no rights. Say, hey, we'll let you vote every 4 years to somebody that we paid for. That's fine, no problem. Hey, we bought this guy. You can vote for him. He ain't going to win anyhow. It doesn't matter if you do win. But this is what we will not give you. We will not allow you, as an American citizen, the right to have health care, the right to have decent housing, the right to have a job that pays you a living wage. That we're not going to give you. So, brothers and sisters, our job is to really take that on in as bold a way as we can, and to stand up and say, you know what, we are human beings. Good, we want the right to vote, very important. Freedom of speech, very important. But you know what? In the richest country in the history of the world, where technology is going to make us richer, we want an economy that works for every single man, woman, and child, not just Musk and his billionaire friends. So what does it mean? It means that no, we are not going to cut Social Security. We are going to expand Social Security. It means that at a time when millions of workers are earning starvation wages, we're going to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. No worker who works 40 hours a week should live in poverty. It means that no, we're not going to give Musk and his billionaire friends a tax break. We're going to demand they start paying their fair share of taxes. Does anybody here think that the American healthcare system is working well? We are spending almost twice as much per capita on healthcare, over $14,000 a year, double what other countries are spending. and yet we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. 85 million of us are uninsured or underinsured. Anybody here have a high deductible? 60,000 people a year die because they don't get to a doctor on time. Brothers and sisters, it is not a radical idea to understand that health care is a human right. We must pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. In Vermont and all over this country, we have a housing crisis, and it is not just 800,000 who are homeless. It is 20 million people who are spending half of their limited income on housing. Maybe, just maybe, instead of spending $1 trillion on the military-industrial complex, we build 5 million units of low-income and affordable housing. We live in a global economy, and we need the best educated workforce on earth. Young people who want to get a higher education, either in college or in trade school, should not have to go tens of thousands of dollars into debt. Education not only makes important sense for our economy, education, growing intellectually, is something that every human being is entitled to. We must make public colleges and universities tuition-free and cancel all student debt. Now, Donald Trump thinks that climate change is a hoax. He is dangerously wrong. And our job is to lead the world in transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel into energy efficiency and sustainable energy, and create millions of jobs as we do that. You know, a lot of my Republican friends, they talk about freedom and freedom and freedom. Well, if this is going to be a really free country, every woman in America has the right to control her own body. Let me read something to you, which was a statement made in 1857, a few years ago, by the great abolitionist Frederick Douglass. You all remember Frederick Douglass? I want you to hear what he said. This is in the years preceding the Civil War, when the great struggle of the time was whether or not this country would end the nightmare of slavery. Listen closely what Douglass said back then and see its relevance for today. So what he said, and I quote, "Power concedes nothing without a demand." Got that? In other words, nobody on top is ever going to give you something unless you demand it. And then he continued, "It never did and it never will. Find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found out the exact measure of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue till they are resisted with either words or blows or with both. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. Brothers and sisters, we are tired of being oppressed. We believe in democracy, not authoritarianism. We believe in an economy that works for all, not just for Musk and his fellow billionaires. Brothers and sisters, let's stand together. Let's go forward. Let us win this struggle. Thank you.